So it wasn't even close for Donald Trump as he surged ahead of his Republican rivals in New Hampshire last night.
Same story for Bernie Sanders in the Granite State. He won all the major demographics, men, women, independents, and the young in his bid against Hillary Clinton. And now we're hearing that Governor Chris Christie might be thinking about reassessing his presidential run as the other candidates look ahead to South Carolina and Nevada.
Take a look at the results from New Hampshire. Sanders was expected to win, but he won big, pulling in more than 130,000 votes over Clinton's 88,000. And on the Republican side, Trump beat out the rest of the candidates with more than 92,000 votes, but it was John Kasich's night.
Does he have some Kasich momentum going on? He came in second with more than 41,000 votes. And after winning in Iowa, Ted Cruz was third. He got 30,000 votes in New Hampshire. News4JAX political analyst Jennifer Carrol is standing by.
Her perspective, of course, on what this all means for the candidates' campaigns going forward. But first, Nikki is joining us with how both parties are reacting this morning to the wins. Nikki, good morning.
Good morning to you both. Well, not only did the New Hampshire primary provide Trump and Sanders momentum going forward to future contests, it also sent some shockwaves through the anxious political establishments of both parties.
Thank you, New Hampshire.
Bernie Sanders and Donald Trump are the New Hampshire primary winners.
We are going to make America great again.
After coming in second in the Iowa caucuses, Trump's win is a validation of his appeal.
We are going to do something so good and so fast and so strong, and the world is going to respect us again. Believe me.
John Kasich finished second, leaving Republican establishment candidates like Chris Christie and Jeb Bush looking to regroup.
Is not dead. This campaign is not dead.
Nearly half of all Republican voters interviewed after voting said they didn't make a final decision until the last few days. And two-thirds said the recent debates were important in making up their minds. On the Democratic side, nearly 75% of voters telling pollsters they're worried about the economy, and nearly 90% saying the economy favored the wealthy.
The government of our great country belongs to all of the people and not just a handful of wealthy campaign contributors and their super PACs.
The Clinton campaign conceded this primary.
I don't know what we'd have done tonight if we'd actually won.
And said it is looking ahead to March.
Now we take this campaign to the entire country.
So it was the Republican runner-up who might be the biggest winner in the Granite State. Ohio Governor John Kasich's prediction came true. He is now moving on to South Carolina with very fresh momentum. Chris Christie, though, has gone home to New Jersey, and it's not clear what his next move is going to be after announcing last night that he is reassessing that next move. Bruce?
It's interesting because Chris Christie basically unseated Marco Rubio, but he wasn't the beneficiary. We'll get to that in a second. Joining us now, News4JAX political analyst Jennifer Carrol, back here on the morning show. Good to have you here.
Thank you.
Talk about some of the takeaways from last night. Hillary Clinton, she's got a trust problem.
She does have a trust problem. Well, we knew that going in, because all the polls throughout showed that she had a trust problem, and now it's really resonating to the polls. And that's going to be problematic for her as she moves forward. She's banking on a minority vote to take her over the top in the southern states come the Super Tuesday elections. And we'll see what happens in South Carolina as we move forward.
But she's also hoping for the industrial Midwest to help boost her campaign. She may have to reorganize and re-strategize here.
Well, that's what they say she's doing. So we'll see how much they reorganize.
The establishment was not totally demolished. John Kasich, number 2.
But he's not seen as the establishment because he's tried to portray himself that way. But consistently, the 3 top-tier individuals that came out of New Hampshire, they spent less money and they were seen as outsiders, and they were seen as trustworthy to speak their mind and really stand forward for the American people.
Takeaway number 3, debates can be game changers. Chris Christie in the last GOP debate basically put Marco Rubio in the spotlight and showcased him as a candidate who just basically has several talking points, can't go beyond them. But Chris Christie did not benefit from what happened there.
Correct. But what he did was able to take Marco Rubio down, but he didn't build himself up. And as he came into single digits, he sees himself now not being able to be on the stage for the debate coming up next week. So that's going to be critical for him. Where does he go from here? But Marco Rubio, he's not that tarnished because now he came in he tied with Jeb Bush for 4th place. So we'll see how he rebounds from that going into South Carolina.
Does Chris Christie drop out now, hoping that the popularity that he did have translates into some sort of cabinet position?
Well, maybe, but it also depends on what relationship he has with the other candidates, for example, Jeb Bush. So if he needs to stay in the race to give Marco Rubio even some more headache, then maybe Jeb Bush campaign or whoever else that want to get Rubio down can stay in for that reason. So we'll see how it goes.
Now, if you look at the exit polling, it's interesting. I think the takeaway is that working-class white voters are up for grabs, especially when you balance what happened in 2008 to what happened here in 2016.
Well, they're sick and tired of politics as usual and sick and tired of their government overspending and not responding to their needs. And that's what they want, an outsider. The three top so-called outsiders came in the front runners for the New Hampshire primary. The other thing, too, is to look at the dollars spent. Jeb Bush spent the most amount of dollars per vote, like over $1,200. Donald Trump about $400, Kasich about $200, and Cruz about $40 per vote. And those people that spent less garnered more, so they got a better rate of return for their money.
And if people wondered about Donald Trump's support, I think his voters showed that they are for real, especially when it came to first-time voters in the Granite State.
But that is true. And also, too, because of the caucus, we couldn't really tell how the people were going to actually vote because they didn't go and pull a lever. However, if it transcends into South Carolina and then comes Super Tuesday, then that's real. Right now, Donald Trump has 17 delegates, followed by Cruz, followed by Marco Rubio and Kasich. Kasich has 4, Marco has 7, Cruz has 10. There's 1,237 delegates that's needed to win the nomination for the Republican primary. So that's still a long ways to go. But if we see a roll of all the dominoes falling in Trump's favor, then he's definitely going to be the nominee.
Time will tell. South Carolina, Nevada, and then Super Tuesday.
Yes.
Jennifer Carrol, thank you. Appreciate it.
Thank you.